All right, diving in. Today, a topic many can relate to: gun ownership and a hesitant partner.
Oh, yeah.
It's tricky, but let's see if we can help folks understand those concerns, maybe find some common ground. Got two sources. One's a guide on introing someone to firearms, the other, a real story, a guy, wife's totally against guns at home.
Classic scenario really highlights how crucial communication and respect are, especially with something like this.
You got it. And get this, our first source suggests a safe, fun intro to firearms can actually change minds.
There's hope.
So there is.
Let's start with that story. The wife's adamant, no guns. Her fear, it's all about the kid's safety. Totally get it.
Makes you think. Media culture, they shape how we see guns, mostly the negative side.
True, and how many movies show guns positively? So hesitation, fear, it's natural.
Like a constant stream of bad gun messages. So, listener, think about your partner. Maybe those same anxieties are at play.
Now, addressing those safety concerns, our guide's got tons of advice. Secure storage is key, trigger locks, ammo separate, safe location, kids can't get to it.
I like how they put it. Teach like it's your boss, not a child.
Uh-huh.
Respect, patience,
Absolutely. Not about winning, but a solution that works for both.
Now, here's the cool part. Positive exposure. Guide walks us through. Introing a novice to shooting. Safe, fun, controlled, demystifying the whole thing.
Start small, less intimidating, like a 22 LR, ease those anxieties, first time's a good one.
And that wife in the story hated every second at the range. What if it was different? Planned out, safe, maybe even a little fun.
Good question. How much was the experience shaped by that intro? Could have been different.
And that's where talking open, honest, no pressure, no judgment becomes crucial.
Exactly. Not politics, but shared experience, finding that common ground. And even then, might still be uncomfortable with guns at home.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
The key is that space where both feel heard, respected, even if not agreeing on everything.
Absolutely.
So the guy talks about choosing the right firearm for a newbie 22 LR. Great start. Why is that?
Well, a few reasons. First, the recoil, very manageable, want a good experience, not something jarring. 22 LR, very little kick, easy to control, less likely to flinch. And they're quieter. Hearing protection always, of course, but less overwhelming for a first-timer. Focus on the basics.
So less recoil, less noise. Got it. Anything else?
Ammo. Much cheaper compared to others. So practice is good. You're not breaking the bank, getting comfortable, not worried about every shot's cost.
Makes sense. A thoughtful way to ease into it. Safety, comfort, better learning.
You got it. Introducing firearms should be about confidence, familiarity, not feeling overwhelmed.
So beyond the 22 LR, what else matters when choosing a firearm for, a hesitant partner?
Okay. So beyond caliber, think type. Pistol, rifle, shotgun, each feels different.
I imagine personal preference comes in big here.
Big time. Some like pistols, others like a rifle stability, Let them explore, see what feels good in their hands.
Not the easiest to shoot, but
Okay.
feels right.
Exactly. Size and weight matter too. For someone new, smaller, lighter, easier to manage.
Again, positive first experience, heavy or cumbersome, could be intimidating.
Definitely. Balance between control and comfort. Don't hesitate to ask for advice. Experienced shooters, instructors at the range,
Great point.
they'll help you find the perfect fit.
Getting expert advice, so important with something like firearms.
And speaking of complex, let's not forget the emotional side. Safety, practical stuff, choosing the right firearm, but emotions matter too.
So true. Easy to get lost in the technical. But those emotional barriers, anxieties, those are key to making this work for both.
Firearms are sensitive. Empathy and understanding, that's how you approach it.
Create that space, comfortable expressing concerns, asking questions, no judgment. Part of the conversation, not a lecture.
You got it. And that brings us back. Communication, it's not just talking, it's hearing them. Understanding where that hesitation comes from, addressing it with compassion.
Sometimes taking it slow, maybe postponing the range trip or buying a firearm until they're more comfortable.
It's not a race. It's about trust, understanding. Rushing it, well, it can backfire. Patience, empathy, those are key.
It's not just demystifying firearms, it's the emotional baggage,
Well put. We've covered a lot. Understanding hesitations, safety, positive exposure, choosing the right firearm. But before we move on, gotta circle back to communication, boundaries.
Super important. Respecting boundaries, it's essential in any relationship, even more so with firearms.
Absolutely. Your passion for firearms doesn't have to be theirs. Even if they become more comfortable with guns, they might still have boundaries, having them in the home, especially with kids.
And respect those boundaries, even if you don't agree. Pressure, it just creates tension.
Remember, common ground, not winning.
And common ground often means compromise. Maybe owning is okay, but storing it outside the home or having it in the home, but with specific safety measures in place.
A solution you both can live with.
Right.
Safety and respect.
And communication. It's ongoing, not a one-time thing. Check in, make sure they feel heard, respected, adjust as needed.
I like that. Communication, respect, willing to compromise. That's a healthy relationship, especially with something like this.
So some valuable insights today. Understanding hesitation, addressing safety, positive exposure, communication, respecting boundaries, lots more to unpack. We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive. As we talk about communication boundaries, it's like this gun ownership thing, it's how couples handle tough topics,
Oh, for sure. Recognizing different perspectives, comfort levels, and that's fine.
Not changing their mind, but respecting, finding a way forward together.
Exactly. And those talks, they can be hard. Getting defensive, feeling like they don't get it, but open mind, willing to listen, it can actually make things stronger.
Like turning conflict into growth.
Love it. Growth together and individually. And back to what we said, education.
Right, knowledge can chase away fear, new perspectives.
It's not just about the guns themselves, it's the history, the culture, the laws, the responsibility. More informed, better conversation.
Like, hey, let's tackle this together, open minds, learning from each other.
Well said. And those resources, NSSF, local ranges, so valuable. Safety courses, materials for beginners, hesitant folks.
That neutral ground, learning comfortably, no pressure, no judgment.
Right. Info on storage, handling, legal stuff.
Informed decisions based on knowledge, not fear or bad info.
And that empowerment, it goes beyond just the person. Couples talking it out respectfully. Ripple effect.
Ripple effect, what do you mean?
Good example for kids, community. Showing that even on tough topics, common ground is possible. Communication, respect, and learning.
Like, we may not agree, but we can talk openly, honestly, find solutions for everyone.
Exactly. Those conversations, bridging those gaps, so important for a healthy society.
Before we wrap up, any last advice for our listener in this situation?
Trust the process. These talks, they take time, patience, being open, bumps along the way, frustration, disagreements. But love, respect, finding common ground, you'll come out stronger, both of you.
Great advice. Trust the process, communicate, respect boundaries, not about winning, but what works for both. Listener, hopefully this dive gave you some good stuff to work with. Knowledge is power, open communication, strong, healthy relationships. Speaking of knowledge, one thing from our sources we haven't hit yet. Subtle, but relevant.
Okay, what's that?
That part where the first source talks about making that first shooting experience enjoyable. Safety and fun, that's the focus.
Ah, yeah. Creating a good feeling about firearms from the get-go. Changing the narrative from fear to something more empowering, enjoyable.
And that applies to the whole conversation too, not just shooting.
I see what you mean. Approaching it in a way that feels safe, respectful, and maybe even fun for both.
Exactly, not lectures, debates. A space where both are comfy sharing, asking, exploring different views.
Turning a potentially stressful thing into a chance to connect, grow.
And maybe even some fun. Research together, a documentary, visit a range, just to see, get the vibe.
I like that. Takes the pressure off, approaching it with curiosity, exploring together.
Who knows, maybe a deeper understanding, a stronger bond.
That's what happens when you're open, willing to learn from each other. Potential conflict becomes a chance to grow, connect.
Great point to end on. We've explored this whole thing. Navigating gun ownership with a hesitant partner, understanding fears, safety first, finding that middle ground, respecting those boundaries.
Communication is key. Empathy, patience, really listening to their side.
And use those resources, get info to guide those talks. Knowledge is power. Education can really help with fear, building understanding.
And most importantly, trust the process. These things take time, but with love, respect, that commitment to common ground, you can handle this, come out with a stronger relationship.
And you never know. Maybe you'll even discover a shared passion for firearms on the way. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep those conversations going. And, thinking about everything we've discussed, both sources kind of touch on this idea of responsible gun ownership.
Yeah,
Seems like a good place to land as we wrap up.
for sure. Responsible ownership, it's the foundation of everything we've talked about. Safety, communication, building that trust.
Not just handling it safely, it's understanding the weight of it, being serious, respectful.
Right. It's a commitment, always learning laws, regulations, safety above all else.
Owning a firearm, it's a right, but it comes with a big responsibility to yourself, loved ones, community.
And being an advocate for it, talking to friends, family, being that voice of reason.
Creating a culture of responsibility, safety first, education, respectful conversations.
Well said. So listener, as we end here, think about what we've covered. How can you use this in your own situation with your partner?
Remember, communication, empathy, being open to learning. Those are powerful tools. Patience, respect. You can work through this, find a way forward, strengthen things, and promote responsible ownership.
And don't forget, there's help out there, resources, NSSF, tons of info on safety training, responsible ownership. Local ranges, too, they can give you good guidance.
Yeah, reach out, use those resources. Knowledge is power, right? It can make a real difference in building a safe, responsible gun culture.
Absolutely. So keep learning, keep talking, keep those conversations going. Stay safe, be well.
Great advice to end on. We've really dug deep into this. Navigating gun ownership with a hesitant partner. Understanding those fears. Putting safety first. Finding common ground. Respecting boundaries.
It all comes back to communication, empathy, patience, and really listening to your partner.
And don't forget those resources. Knowledge is power. Education is key to understanding and overcoming fear.
Trust the process. It takes time. But love, respect, that shared goal of finding common ground. You can get through this and have a stronger, more resilient relationship because of it.
And hey, who knows? Maybe you'll even discover a shared passion for firearms along the way. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep those conversations flowing.